Hi, I'm Doyle Banks, and let me ask you a couple of quick questions. First, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think you know yourself? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you don't have a clue, 10, you're a totally enlightened human being. Second question then is on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like or even love yourself? 1 being you can't stand to be in the same room with yourself, and 10, you absolutely adore yourself. Now, wherever you put yourself on either of those scales, I'd be willing to bet that 1, you probably don't know yourself as well as maybe you think you do, unless you put in a lot of really serious work into self-discovery. And 2, you may not like yourself quite as much as you would tell me, a stranger, that you like yourself, because that's kind of a vulnerable thing to admit, right? Either way, that we do like ourselves or that we don't like ourselves. I'm asking you these questions because I recently came across an article by Mark Manson. Mark is a 3 times #1 New York Times best-selling author. That's a mouthful to say. And he wrote a great article in his blog called The 3 Layers of Self-Awareness. And I'd like to share some thoughts on that article, or from that article, with you, and some of my own thoughts about self-awareness and self-acceptance. As I mentioned, my name is Doyle Banks, and I'm a life coach and educator. I work with people who are on a journey of self-discovery and creating transformations in their lives, in their inner games, the things going on inside of their heads and hearts, and in their outer lives, their relationships, whether it's at home or work or wherever. As I mentioned, I came across this article by Mr. Manson, and I really enjoyed his perspective on this self-awareness thing, self-discovery thing. And one of the things that he pointed out right off the bat in the article is that a lot of us put a huge part of our lives on autopilot. Now, in our day-to-day life, that's really a great evolutionary development for human beings, so that we don't have to stop and think about every minute action, every thought, or every word that we're about to speak, right? On the other hand, we can become so automated, if you will, that we don't know what we're experiencing even within ourselves emotionally. And that can have some negative consequences left, uh, leaving ourselves to our emotions to their own devices long enough. So the problem is not just that we go on autopilot, but that we don't know. We don't have that metacognition, if you will. We don't know that we're doing it. So what we want to develop is some self-awareness. The end goal of self-awareness is self-acceptance. And I'll show you how Mark points the way for us to get there. Now, he has 3 questions, hence the 3 layers of self-awareness. And each question is for one of the layers. And I'm going to quote the questions directly as he wrote them. He has what I think is a hilarious and really wonderful, really direct kind of writing style. I hope it won't offend any of you who are watching. So just know that I'm quoting from Mark. But before I go to the questions, I want to stop and give you his definition of self-awareness. I really think this is so helpful. He says, self-awareness is our ability to observe and accurately identify our thoughts, feelings and impulses, and determine whether they are grounded in reality or not. I like that, being able to observe and accurately identify our thoughts, our feelings, and our impulses, and to know if they're indeed grounded in reality. Mark points out 5 benefits to developing self-awareness, and I'm not going to recite all 5 to you. What I will share is the one that really stood out to me is that self-awareness is required for self-control, and the benefit being the more self-aware we are, the more self-control we'll tend to have. And for me, in my experience, what I found is that then the more self-control I have, the more self-awareness I can develop, and they kind of help each other out. They work together quite well. At least they have in my life and my inner development. Now, let's get to the 3 questions. So layer number 1 of self-awareness, Mark says we want to ask ourselves, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Again, I'm smiling and kind of chuckling because I just really enjoy his style of putting it out there like it is. Now, when we ask that, what we're looking for are clues to where are we distracting ourselves from pain in our life. And by pain, generally talking about pain that we experience because of relationship things, issues, problems that come up, pain and stress because of life events, maybe losing a job or whatever. Where, how, and how often are we distracting ourselves or trying to distract ourselves from that pain? And Mark points out that that distraction can become a compulsion. And when that happens, then it kind of goes back to that idea he puts forth at the beginning of the article about our lives being on autopilot. And we can get into compulsive behavior and thought patterns in the attempt to avoid pain and not get to the point we don't even realize we're doing it. So we want to pause on a regular basis, just check in with ourselves. What the hell am I doing? Right? Am I developing some compulsions because there's some pain I'm trying to avoid? And if I discover that yes, indeed I am, then hopefully that gives me the opportunity and the choice, the agency to decide, well, okay, I think I better turn toward that, take a look at that, and see about healing that pain. The second layer and second question is, what the hell am I feeling? And I find this to be so crucial in my work as a life coach and as an educator. I teach a method called compassionate communication. It was developed by the late Marshall Rosenberg. And one of the core components of the method is knowing our feelings. What I have found is that the more I'm in touch with my feelings, or my coaching clients, students, the more accurately they can identify their feelings, the better we become then at understanding the need or needs, wants or desires underneath those feelings. And that's important because bottom line is everything that we do, say, and think is us trying to get a need met on one level or another. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a selfish thing. It's just the way humanity, that's how we are as humans. We're trying to get our needs met. And if we're doing this unconsciously, then we start doing things like trying to manipulate the people around us, or trying to boss, make demands of people around us. And left that way, over time, we end up with nobody who wants to be around us because we're miserable to be around. And sometimes we even can't stand to be with ourselves, be alone with ourselves. So identifying our feeling can help us understand more clearly, see more clearly what need is operating here and how can I get it met in a healthy, skillful way. Let me give you a quick example. I might be feeling kind of lonely and cranky and realize, I haven't been out with any of my friends for a while. I need some friend time and some fun. So realizing that, instead of just sitting around being lonely and cranky and maybe taking it out on someone, I can get up off my butt and go do something about it. Call a friend or two, go get together and have some fun. That's an example of having a negative feeling come up, that loneliness and cranky. Now, let's say I go and do that, and I come back home, and I'm feeling joyful and happy. I've got a big smile on my face. That's because the need for fun and friendship and companionship got filled up, right? I attended to it and took care of it in a healthy, skillful way. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how that operates. Okay, we've covered the first two layers of self-awareness. What the hell am I doing? What the hell am I feeling? Third, then, is what the hell are my blind spots? And I really love how Mark Manson, that he observed this and came up with this question: what the hell are my blind spots? The idea here is that the more in tune we are, the more observant we are of our weaknesses, then again, the more opportunities we have to actually do something positive with them and about them. If I'm just stumbling along on autopilot, like the proverbial cliche, the bull in the button china shop, just wreaking havoc in my relationships, then I'm not doing anybody any good, right? But if I understand, if I see, when I get around a certain person and they say this certain thing, I get really nasty and mean, and I don't like being that way, and I know they don't like it, and anybody else in the room when that happens doesn't like it. So I want to work on that. What's something I can do for myself, some work I can do on myself to change the way that I react, change from reacting to responding. So that's an example of how we can work with that. Finally, Mark points out some things that we can do to build or increase self-awareness, and I really like his suggestions. One is to have a mindfulness practice. I myself have practiced mindfulness or insight meditation for 25 years, and I can tell you that it has helped me develop so much self-awareness and be able to change my life from being a really angry, depressed person to being someone now who really enjoys his life. I love my relationships. I've been able to heal relationships with my children and with my former wife, and develop new wonderful friendships. And I attribute a lot of that to my mindfulness practice and the development in my life of self-awareness. Secondly, Mark talks about keeping a journal, writing in a journal on a regular basis. And again, this is something I've done for decades. I'll go through phases where I write every day and then maybe once a week for a while and back and forth. But the point being is that it's a way that we can kind of put the problem, right, or the issue, the emotions out on a piece of paper in front of us and get a little bit of distance so that we can look at it with some objectivity. And I find it extremely helpful to help me process and become more aware of, oh, I'm feeling this thing because this other thing is not being attended to, this need or this desire that I have. Thirdly, Mark suggests that we get honest feedback from friends, people we can trust. And again, if you have a friend who you can really trust to be honest with you in a loving, caring, compassionate way, that is invaluable. It's priceless. And if you have a friend like that, treat that friend well and nurture that friendship, because they're often hard to find. If you don't have someone like that, open yourself up, open your mind up to having someone who you can trust and trust their love and care for you come into your life, and open your heart, open your mind to having that come into your life. And work on it too. Work at developing some of those kinds of friendships. One more that I'll throw in of my own is to learn something like compassionate communication. Learning how to identify our feelings and needs, and then what to do, how to strategize from a place of compassion and wisdom to get our needs met, rather than, again, acting out of compulsion and acting unconsciously. It just makes life so much richer and enjoyable. Again, as I pointed out at the beginning, Mark points out that we want to work on these 3 layers of self-awareness so that we can grow in our self-acceptance, grow in loving and caring and even liking ourselves. I can tell you, from having done this kind of work for a lot of years, maybe more years than some of you watching have even been alive, it pays off. It pays such riches that you just will wish you had started the work years and years ago if you have not been doing this kind of work. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I really appreciate your kind attention if you've stuck with me this far into the video. I hope that you have at least one or maybe several takeaways from what you've heard and seen today. And I would love it if you would share one idea that you're taking away from this video, and maybe share how you plan to put it to use in your life. Thank you. I hope that you'll take good care of yourself. I send you wishes for peace and joy, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon in another video.